Hello friends, welcome to Risingpearl.com. Today we are talking about series 12 where we are learning a great deal on areas related to circles. This is webisode number 2, and friends, today we are going to talk about what do we mean by area of a circle. Now friends, very quickly, the meaning of the word area, generally speaking, it means the amount of space that is enclosed inside a given figure. And we're talking about a two-dimensional figure, or in a plane if you draw any figure. So what is the amount of space which is inside that figure, that is inside any given particular figure? That is what we mean by the word area. Now in that context, here I have drawn a rectangle. So this is a rectangle, this is a square, here there is a triangle, as you can see, this is a parallelogram, and this is a quadrilateral. So I have drawn four different shapes over here. So if I say area of a rectangle or a square or a triangle, parallelogram or a quadrilateral, what is that I mean by it? This is what I mean by it. So rectangle, so everything which is inside, highlighted in the red color, is the area of a rectangle. So when we say area of a rectangle, we are talking about how much space, this entire red color space, how much is this amount of space. Similarly, this entire blue colored space, how much is this? That is what we mean by area of a square. So on and so forth. So as you can see here, so red, blue, yellow, green and pink, I just use some colors to give you as an example that when we talk about area, we are really talking about the amount of space which is enclosed inside any given figure, right? So now, how does all of this relate to area of a circle? So let's say we have a circle. Now when we say area of a circle, what we mean by that is the amount of space which is highlighted in blue here. So area of a circle would mean how much is this amount of space which is highlighted in blue. Now how do we actually find this out? What we do is we are going to divide this circle into a certain number of pies. Almost think about that as a pizza, right? And we're trying to break it into a certain number of pies. So in this particular example, we have broken it down into 8 pieces, right? So let's just say from here, let's say this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So 8 equal pies. That is what we have broken our circle into. So this is the same circle, right? So again, area still means the amount of space. Each of these pies put together would be the area of the circle, right? Now what we are going to do is, for a moment, let's just color code it a little differently. So again, this is still 1, this is 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So I'm just using different color, and why am I doing that? And again, keep in mind, these are the same thing. This is equal to this is equal to this. From this point, what am I going to do? I am going to take out each and every of one of these pies one by one and arrange them little differently. So this is the first pie. Now this is the second pie. So I'm starting from here. So I take this one out and I put it in this shape. I take the second one, I just put it right next to the first one, upside down compared to the first piece. And I will do this for each and every one of these pieces. So it will look like this. So this is the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, and eighth. So what do we have here? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So we start from here, first, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, all the 8 pieces. That means my entire circle, this is my circle, my entire circle now looks like this, right? This is nothing but the circle. I'm taking out each piece one by one and putting it like this. Now if you look closely, this actually resembles more like a rectangle. Well, you will think this is a parallelogram, and I would agree. But keep in mind that it really depends on how many pies that you divide the circle into, right? So here I have done it in 8 number of pies, and each angle, so if I divide this in 8 pies, so I have a total of 360 degree that I am dividing, and if I divide that among 8 pieces, 8 pies, so 8 fours are 32, 4 0, so 44 degrees. So each one of this right now is a 44 degree, right? So you see the angle, why it is so much inclined. It is basically this length. So if I divide into, for example, 10 pieces, so then my angle would be 360 divided by 10, and each angle will be now 36 degrees. So it will not be as wide, it will be a little bit less narrow. So you can see the more number of pies that you create, the more this angle becomes smaller and smaller, because this is angle for one of the pies. So it will eventually look like a rectangle. Now what is this length? What is this length? If you think what is this length, you will note that this is actually equal to this length, which is nothing but the radius, right? So if you have a center, this is your radius, and this is what this is. So this is basically radius. Now, and what is this length? So if you look from here all the way till here, so what would you call this length? Now if you look on the top, you have 1, 2, 3, 4. So total I have 8 pies, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But on the top I have lined up 4 of them, and similarly on the bottom we have 4. So if you think about 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, it is half the circle, right? So now what is the length? So each one, this one, this one, this one, is basically here, right? Like this, right? So approximately how much is this? So this will be now the total length of the circle, or the circumference of the circle, we know is 2 pi r. We saw that in the last webisode. Now if this is half of the circle, so that means this length should be this divided by 2. So if we cancel 2 and 2, so this length is pi r. Now so if you think, if you really divide the circle into infinitely many pieces, what you will see is that this will more closely become a rectangle whose length will be pi r, and whose width, which is this value, that will be equal to r. So then we know the area of a rectangle is length times breadth, or if length is pi r, multiply by r, you will get this as pi r square. So area of a circle, so when we say area of a circle, that value really is pi r square. Again, in the last episode we saw what is the value of pi. Pi is basically irrational number. For all practical purposes, we are going to assume that pi is equal to 22 by 7. And from a decimal representation standpoint, we will use the value as 3.14. So friends, so in order for us to sum up, so if we have a circle with a given radius, then the area of a circle will be pi times r square, where pi is 22 by 7 or equal to 3.14, and r is the radius of the circle. So in this way, so if the area, if we have to calculate the area, simply because the pi's value is fixed, it is known, times r square. So if we know the radius, we can find out the area, and similarly if the area is given, we can find out the radius.